Experts found an underground tomb and walked into a very grim scene. Being an archaeologist needs a certain amount of nerve, as there is no guarantee that every excavation will go according to plan. Experts found an underground tomb and walked into a very grim scene. Archaeologists had been working inside a subterranean chamber whose entrance snaked its way deep under the desolate Andean landscape. This is where that nerve comes in after all. Would you feel comfortable following a series of ancient stethoscopes? The group working in Peru found out the hard way as they got to work on the site of Calmark. These guys found something deeply disturbing staring up at them. We can only imagine the presumably fetid air and the smell of lesser people surely would have bolted back up to the surface. The tension didn't exactly ease up the deeper these archaeologists forged into the ancient ruins. Tiwanaku has been characterized as the first true empire of the Andes. We can say that because both cultures seem to have actively spread throughout the region, their influence felt far and wide. They laid the groundwork for more famous empires that would come later, such as that of the Inca. There are some clear similarities between the Huari and Tiwanaku cultures, particularly in the style of Arctic produced. Huari works, however, were probably more elaborate. It appears that one of the most popular beverages was a kind of beer made from maize, and it was served in a unique kind of goblet. This kind of container was later taken up by the people of the Inca Empire. Of course, not all practices were equally shared between the Huari and Tiwanaku cultures. The people of the former, for instance, were probably unrivaled when it came to their weaving skills. Maybe that's why clothing came to take such an important place in Huari society, with certain items, such as hats and tunics, signifying the wearer's place in the social order. The Huari people communicated in their distinctive tongue Y, while the economy of the Uri was able to function because to a highly developed bureaucracy that was tasked with the responsibility of distributing resources from more developed sections to more distant parts of a centralized organization. The state was responsible for the collection of taxes and oversaw the general operation of the economy, but the Huari had no real concept of a currency in the sense that we would understand the term today. The Huari were pioneers in many areas, but especially when it came to their ability to work with metals. They were able to work with metals such as gold, copper, and bronze in novel ways that had never been seen before. Their techniques were certainly impressive for their time. If Dr. Tung's theory is to be believed, the Huari culture had a tragic demise. Yet this should not detract from the many accomplishments the culture was capable of, as is evident from the archaeological evidence the Huari left behind. Old communities, such as Calmark, which at its height provided a home for approximately 15,000 people, can be found behind. The remains of Cajamaquila demonstrate how complex and technologically advanced this settlement used to be in the past. The area appears to have been meticulously planned and organized into blocks that contained residences, pyramids, and temples. There is evidence that suggests these buildings were later occupied by people who came later, such as the Ichma and the Inca. Although experts have acknowledged the significance of the Calmark Wheel of archaeological site, it had still been treated pretty poorly in recent years, rather than being protected. Work on the dig began in the middle of October 2021, and approximately 40 people were working on it at the same time. Considering the size of the crew, it was clear that someone would have to take charge and make sure everything ran efficiently. This responsibility fell to archaeologists Sumura Human and Peter Van Dalen. Under the direction of Luna's two leaders, the team began exploring the claustrophobic darkness of an underground chamber. What they found inside there was quite terrifying. It was a fellow human being who had been laid to rest. However, looking at the disturbing way this body had been placed there, it was clear that this had been no ordinary burial. The body had been mummified, with binding wrapped tightly around its surface. If that wasn't eerie enough for you, it gets even creepier than that. The person who in 2016, Dr. Tung explained to the scientific community that human remains dating back 2 years after the zenith of Huari society had been discovered. These human remains appear to have been thrown together in an unceremonious heap, and there is evidence that some of them had even been desecrated. This is particularly surprising given the level of care that appears to have been put into the Van Dalen site. We can certainly assume that the man had been alive at a high moment in Uhari history, but that's unlikely to be the only knowledge that can be gathered from the specimen. It was, after all, discovered in superb preservation, so specialists can draw a lot of understanding from it. An example of such an expert is by archaeologist Agmar Asasha, who discussed the find in an interview with the website Business Insider. She stated that the problem with many archaeological sites in Southern America is that they are extensively robbed by grave robbers. Therefore, you need to be very lucky to find a mummy intact like this. We can make a lot of investigations of such a body, including the investigation of ancient DNA. In addition to being exciting news for historians and archaeologists, this discovery also has the potential to bring about positive outcomes for the general population in the not-too-distant future. Lima's San Marcos University hosted an exhibition of the mummy. After all, there's no better way to pique people's interest in history than by giving them a first-hand look at an artifact like this. Van Dalen, on the same day that the mummy was put on display, Luna made a public statement. In it, he noted that today at the National Major University of San Marcos in Lima, we unveiled archaeological finds from research done in Camaquila in 2021. The mummy is the most significant find, as it is a piece of news that has been disseminated all over the world and is presently being investigated. Who knows what other secret specialists can yet conclude from this discovery? We have the brave archaeologists who ventured into one of Mummy's creepy chambers to thank for potentially learning so much about the lost Vari civilization. Let's hope that they continue to reveal more from the Camaquila site before it's too late. Thank you for watching the video. Like, share, subscribe to the video, and do comment us below. See you in the next video.